Good morning, everyone. I have a special guest here today to answer a bunch of questions pertaining to downsizing and making that big move. I have Joel Olson here, and Joel is going to take a few of my questions, and he is with Canadian Mortgage Experts, and he
Yeah.
helps my clients all across Canada, in BC, Alberta, Ontario, wherever. And making that, I've got a lot of clients who are deciding to move to the West Coast, get their luxury West Coast dream home. So we're going to ask him a few questions. And if you do need to reach out to him, JoelOlson.ca is his website. And his direct line is 1-250-814-1627. Remember, I'm Jean with Victoria Homeowner. So Joel, good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to say, just in case you're watching this some point in time, that this isn't evergreen. So if you do get some information, best thing to do is to reach out to me, Jean with Victoria Homeowner, or Joel. But today we're talking about people who are making the big move, maybe from the Lower Mainland, from Alberta, even Ontario, and they've got a big asset. They've got a home that it's the market we know is hot, and they have a home that they've paid off, and they're ready to downsize or ready to move out of the snow. This tends to be the big thing, over to the southern Vancouver Island where I work, Victoria, Duncan, Chemainus, the Cowichan Valley, lots of inquiries there. Or they've already sold their home. So Joel, why don't you tell us about what the options are if people want to get shopping,
Yeah.
and they haven't sold their home? What bridge financing exists, or how can you help them?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing to be really aware of is that, like, if you're not if you don't do this preemptively, it's going to cost you a lot more money. And so you'll see that, because I'll go through a few different options. So if I have a home that's free and clear, and I'm thinking that I'm going to buy before I have that home sold, or I'm going to have to buy and close it. So for example, I'm buying a home and my home is sold and the title transfer is on June the 1st, but I bought a new home and that title transfer is on May the 15th. So I won't have the money on the closing date. So I'm gonna need some type of bridge financing. There's a wide array of options that are going to exist based on that. Now, the easiest way that people are to do this would be prior to ever selling your house, prior to ever listing your house on the market, would be for us to go and put a line of credit on your existing home, which gives you access to the equity until it's sold. Now, of course, the moment the house is sold, they're going to pay the line of credit off in full. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that once your house is listed for sale, lenders don't typically like to finance it. They believe that's going to make them less money because you're going to pay the mortgage, hopefully in a pretty imminent fashion. So your best option, first off, is before you ever list your home, before you start looking, let's put a line of credit on. It gives you access to that equity, so you could put a down payment down. Now, there could be a lot of things that happen with that based on your situation. Maybe we can use the line of credit to buy that home for cash. Maybe we can use the line of credit to put a pretty meaningful down payment. Lots of options about exist. So that'd be the first thing we do. Now, if you sell your home, if you find a new house to buy, and you haven't sold your home, there's not an offer that's firm. And what I mean by that, there's not an offer that has an actual closing date and subjects have all been removed. There's nothing impending it except for you're just waiting for it to close. There is a way to get a bridge finance for that. A bridge finance for that looks somewhere around, every bank is a little bit different, but you can have around prime plus 5 with a $500 fee. So it could cost you a couple $1,000s to do a bridge. So even if it's only a couple weeks, you need the money on it. So that is a way we can do it if you already have a firm sale. Now, if you have your house and your house is not sold, or maybe just has an offer on it and it's not completely done, and you buy another home, then there is bridge options still available. But that can cost you about 4% of whatever you're buying. So if I'm buying a home for $500,000, it's probably going to cost me $20,000 in bridge fees. Now, that still could be an option that is viable in some situations, but it's important to know that these are all things that happen as a result of not preemptively kind of setting things in motion, right? So, but every situation is different. Sometimes we can look at a lot of different things, depending on what your expedition is, how much cash you're going to put in, where you're going to end up. So, it just, a lot of people end up paying a lot of these fees and a lot of expensive bridges because they just don't plan. And, they say something like, I'm going to sell, when I find something to buy, great. If I don't, I'm not going to do everything till then, not realizing the market's quite quick and people buy your home quite fast. And the homes that you want to buy, we're always in a situation where people have a crunch where they've sold their home, they can't find something to buy, and now they're really in a tough space, and that happens, the vast majority of the time, because the same reason why your house sells quick is the same reason why you can't find something that quick to buy, because there's not a lot of inventory.
Right, right. No, that's helpful. And so if people have more questions, because you're absolutely right, everyone's situation is unique. And I know that there are certainly some chatter as rates are ticking up a little bit. We're in kind of mid-March right now, 2022. I don't see the inventory challenge being fixed overnight. It takes a long time to build homes.
Yeah.
So, do you have any insight into what rates are going to do? Do you have big concerns? Should people make their move if they're going to do it sooner rather than later? Because there's now the cooling off period. There's a lot of things in flux.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. It's what we think on the mortgage side of things. There's the big thing right now is that there is a ton of unknowns. We tell clients every day, if we there's a lot of our clients that we're pre-approving that are good clients that could buy a home, young families, money, but are constantly being outbid by a cash offer, or people that are have the ability to go in with a much stronger offer, maybe in most areas without conditions. If we add that cooling off period, easily these days we sit on more and more pre-approvals than ever. We really are introduced. It's not just the cooling off period, in my opinion, will introduce a meaningful amount of buyers to the market that are currently on the sidelines.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big deal. There's no question about that. That's going to make a difference as well, right? So so that's something to keep in mind. But there's all these unknowns, like as we talk about rates, I'm actually not of the opinion that rates are going to go up aggressively. I think they're going to go up one more time. And when we're talking about rates go up, I mean, we do a lot of commentary and videos on this. When we talk about rates going up, we're talking about, most of the time we're talking about a variable rate or the Bank of Canada overnight rate going up, affecting variables. And so perception is reality, because people think rates are going to go up. They will plan accordingly, and they will buy, they will probably buy in anticipation of rates going up. I don't think rates will go up aggressively on the fixed side either, but most of our clients do use variables. But again, there is just so many unknowns. And I think back to great examples when we first looked at March 2020 and the market grinded to a halt. The vast majority of our predictions were that people would that the market was already getting busy and inventory would be pushed to the fall, and people didn't really think that was going to happen because the market seemed to have slowed. But that's exactly what happened. They pushed to the fall, all the things that were there. And another thing that we see on our side that may be a very interesting thing for people to be aware of is that I don't see this a lot in the media, but we see a lot of people, I call it house hoarding. And so, when you think about inventory problems, someone might say, okay, I have a house. When I move, I'm going to sell that house. A lot of people are holding on to those houses and not necessarily even renting them out anymore. I just had 3 conversations this morning with clients that are buying a second home, and they will not be using them as long-term rentals. A little bit of a fear about, whether or not the government will put in, some type of rules around having long-term tenants, and would that put them in a bad spot. So there's some inventory crunches that I think are not yet fully realized. And to add to that, the story for many years was that inventory is a result of us having too much immigration and people coming in and buying up those houses. Well, what better proof the last 2 years, when we're not letting anyone into the country, that immigration is not driving that. But if it truly does have a factor, which I do believe, that's an inventory challenge that is yet to be fully realized in this market too, right? So
wow. Well, very informative. And you mentioned that you have a lot of videos. Is there a YouTube channel? Is it just Joel?
I do. So we have a YouTube channel, our JoelOlson Mortgage Team YouTube channel. We run on rates. We do a variable rate update every single week because it's such a volatile situation. But when you think about selling properties right now, this is very important, as we were talking about before. If you are into a fixed rate, you could have that penalty is 5 times greater than a variable. So, you know, if somebody go, like we were talking a little bit offline about the idea, you look at your tax assessment, you think you got $2 million in the bank. Well, do you really, once you're taking off, you know, taxes and realtor fees,
Right,
but even
right.
mortgage penalties? You could be looking at a $50,000 penalty that, and these are not fixed amounts. With a fixed rate mortgage, you know, we've had people have penalties of $3,000 turned to $20,000 in a week because it's influenced by the stock market. And if you're paying attention at all to stocks and bonds, you'll know that those are there's an extreme amount of volatility in those right now that,
Mhm.
you know, obviously is creating those types of effects. So, you know, like just kind of planning to sell your home on the idea that, oh, I'm going to net this amount of money, that truly may not be the case. You may be netting a lot less than you think you are, right? So
Mhm. All right. So again, it's Jean with Victoria Homeowner. You can find me at www.victoriahomeowner.com or direct 250-858-7716. I want to thank Joel for coming on today and giving us
thank
his
you.
insights. His website again is www.JoelOlson.ca, and that's Olson, Olson. And his direct line is 1-250-814-1627. I feel like we're going to do this again, Joel, and I want to thank you so much for spending a couple minutes with me today.
Terrific. Thank you so much.